Hi there and welcome. My name is Holden Watney with Generation 9 Technologies. I really appreciate you coming today. Today we're going to be talking about working from home, both securely and efficiently. So why are we here? Remote workers now make up 25% of our workforce. And it's funny, I actually had to update this slide because this was before COVID-19. Now millions of people are remote. And that's a lot of people, of those that are now remote that aren't going to go back into the office. I believe this may be a tipping point for remote work and is really going to change our landscape moving forward. Again, having this slide prior to the last few weeks, natural disasters, sick dependent state of emergencies happen. We're seeing it today. The apps and the way we work has changed overnight, and it's not going to go back, or at least not to the way that we're used to it. The use of Zoom, RingCentral, Slack bring a whole new different range of cybersecurity and kind of considerations that you should be thinking about in your business. So Gen 9, and your organizations want your cybersecurity culture to transcend the office walls, to protect your family and protect your data as well as the company's data. So briefly, the agenda for today, we're going to start by talking about maintaining control of our data assets and why this is important and who it's happening to. We're going to discuss the threat vectors and how the bad guys get in. And then we're going to finish up with your role and what you can do to protect yourself, your family, and the data. So this is a slide taken from an RSA presentation from 2019, and it looks like almost like an org chart at a large company. But what it basically is showing you that cybercrime is organized crime and it's big business. We have you at the bottom as a victim, and there's operations managers. There's people who are trying to exploit you. It's not just one person. It really is big business, and a lot of times there is one kingpin or kingpins that are going after you as an individual or as a business. So this is a nice visual to kind of think about it. It's not just one person going after you or your organization. So cybercrime on the dark web, a lot of people like to use this iceberg example. On the top, we see the surface where the search engines, the CNN.coms, Reddits, and then we have our deep web, which has academic databases, medical records, legal documents, some scientific reports. And then we have the dark web, which is where drug trafficking and a lot of other illegal activities happen. What you'll see in this is 96% of the content on the web, again, this is an estimation, is on either the deep web or the dark web. And this is where your stolen credentials are sold. You may think that a lot of your information is not valuable, but it is. Phishing is very, lucrative. People can buy different tools, malware, ransomware, software tools to extract your data. If you look here, just for some of your social security information, you can get some serious money. So there's a lot of people out there that use this as their job. It's not just, one-off situations, and they can get more and more targeted depending on how interesting of a target you can be. So phishing is a very, very lucrative business. Going a little bit deeper on some examples of cybercrime on the dark web. This is some stuff that I just pulled today, specifically with the coronavirus. 350% surge in phishing websites during this pandemic. Unfortunately, the bad guys, they don't take a time off or feel bad for you, right? That's why they're not very good actors, and they'll a lot of times double down on situations that you're already in a panic. So, they'll really take advantage of this, and we'll see more and more attempts. And in this case, people will be more and more likely to make mistakes. And, ransomware in 2019, any successful one was paying out over $36,000 per attack. So these are serious, serious dollars here. And that's why we need to take, more stock in how important it is to be at least aware of what's going on. A lot of things that I hear are the fact that it won't happen to me, it won't happen to my small business, it won't happen to me as an individual. We are not the targets. But that's just not true. It's just there's ways that they can get in, and anyone can be exploited right now. And a lot of times, small and medium-sized businesses will go into a little bit later. They can't afford these. A lot of large organizations have resources, or they have cash reserves to pay off these attacks. Most SMBs go out of business. So I ran a search actually today for small business ransomware attacks, and you'll see 71% in 2018 were actually targeted, compared to the larger enterprises. And we can do deeper searches in that if we wanted to. Further with the COVID stuff, the internet is drowning in these malware and phishing scams. Headlines everywhere. And that's part of why I want to do this presentation today, because it can happen to you, your business, and have some serious ramifications. So why small businesses are prime targets? With all small businesses, budget. SMBs spend about 10% of their annual budget on IT, including support. They can't afford that $40,000 firewall or that CISO on staff. They have a very low IT skill level or no support unless something breaks. A lot of times the equipment is aging. They try and make it last as long as possible, and they're unpatched. A lot of times unpatched basically means they're not supported, so there's different security vulnerabilities at play. The owners wear so many different masks and hats that they don't focus on the security. SMBs don't believe it will happen to them. SMBs don't believe their data is valuable, and SMBs are far behind enterprise in educating the employees. The source of this report here on the left is, looking at Semantic's 2019 Internet Threat Report. If you look at it based on organization size, with the employee count from 1 to 250, they're getting targeted just as much as the 2,500 plus, right? So these are happening to all size businesses. Small are just as big of targets, and a lot of times they are the ones who cannot afford it. Okay, so what are the threat vectors? How do these bad guys get in? We talked a little bit about what's at stake here, and these are some of the different ways that they can get in. We'll dive into them in the next few slides. But the phishing web and ransomware, the credentials getting compromised, mining for weak passwords, unpatched vulnerabilities for encryptions, having bad relationships, misconfiguring your firewalls or your routers, sometimes, unfortunately, malicious insiders, and then zero-day and unknown methods. Diving a little bit deeper into phishing and how it works, let's say, for example, you inadvertently download a file with a spy agent attached. How? You open an email attachment with a hidden payload, visit it, and then you visit an infected website via link from an email or just a normal web browsing. The agent then sits dormant on your PC or Mac, undetected by your malware or virus scanning tools. This is called a zero-day infection. In 2019, it's estimated that a business will fall victim to a ransomware attack every 14 seconds. This is happening. You may not see it right away. These guys are getting pretty good and creative. They'll get past your cheap or free antivirus and have this virus sit dormant until you go to your banking information or something that causes it to light up and then go attack. So at Generation 9, we have, and you may have this in place as well, we have the following solutions to help protect from some of these phishing. We have Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection, which serves as the primary filter for infected or malicious emails. We have email filters, for infected attachments known as malicious links. DNS filtering, advanced endpoint protection, which stops 99% of the ransomware activity as a final layer of defense. Now we have that in place, and all of our clients have that in place. I'd ask your own provider what you have regarding email security. A lot of these things are not included in your personal email. So, looking at some of these, I just take a second here and, go through the 4 of these and see which ones you don't have or which ones you may need. A lot of tools also, may not be what they appear to be. So a good habit on Chrome and your other internet browsers or tools is to not download extensions that you don't absolutely need. There are so many extensions out there. A lot of times it's hard to see who even built them, but their sole purpose is to collect and gather data on you. This is a link to an article from this year where 500 malicious Chrome extensions impacted millions of users. So yes, there's some cool browser extensions out there, but I'd really caution you to make sure you only use the ones that are provided by your IT provider and sign off on, or just not at all. It's not worth the risk. Social engineering, one of the components of social engineering is feeding on people's fear and their generosity. Coronavirus, again, has really kind of caused the spread of a lot of phishing attacks, and it's really unfortunate. You go see all these different information about, we're scared right now, and we want to know what's going on. And, this one that I saw, and I almost clicked on it myself, was hackers are using fake coronavirus heat maps to infect visitors with malware. You get an email from someone that looks credible, maybe a CDC spoofed website, and it's like, click here to see if anyone in your area is infected with these red heat maps. And obviously you're going to be, interested in what's going on. And, you click that device, you click that link, and all of a sudden you could be infected with malware, and your computer could be in a lot of danger. You could be extracted a lot of money. So it's one of those things where just beware. Mobile devices are fair game as well. And so are Macs. Macs are not as safe as they once were. These hackers are pretty creative. So just because you have a Mac doesn't mean that you are safe from fair game. So what can you do about it? Here are just a few home computer and network tips. It's not an exhaustive list. This is meant just to get you thinking about things that you can do at the home level to protect you versus some of these attacks that are out there today. Home network Wi-Fi and passwords. Make sure you have a complicated Wi-Fi password. Change the router's default admin credentials. The amount of people that don't do this automatically is astounding. And a lot of times that original admin credential is something like user admin, password admin. That's pretty easy for a hacker or bad actor to get in. Another thing is don't name your Wi-Fi network something that identifies your family. Think of something that is unique to you, that you would remember, that you can easily point to, but it has nothing to do with your first or last name and your home address. Make sure you VPN into your corporate network. Have that in place. Pay for it. Use your firewall's settings. Utilize multi-factor authentication whenever you can, and have a password manager. To go back to the passwords and multi-factor, that will stop a lot of attacks. And just enabling that wherever you can, not even necessarily getting a true manager like a Duo, will really stop a lot of attacks. Home devices and habits. If possible, don't let your kids use your work computer. Separate church and state here. A lot of times the kids are the ones downloading these bad games or browser extensions. Make sure you update your computer and mobile devices with the latest patches. I know it's annoying when you have to, wait 30 minutes to use your computer, but a lot of times those patches are security patches because they find a known vulnerability or someone has found a way to break through a software, and they update those regularly. Make sure you use a paid subscription antivirus or anti-malware solution, especially if you don't have that through your work. Use safe browsing and email habits. Make sure you're going to trusted sites. And mainly be skeptical of any email. Just kind of know that the threat landscape is out there, and if something feels a little funny, it probably is. And if not, reach out to someone to confirm that it is not. And finally, when in doubt, contact your IT provider. They want you to ask them questions. They'd rather you ask these questions now than have to go in and remediate later. It's a crazy time right now, and they would rather you contact them than have, their whole corporate network or their whole corporate, share drives, corrupted. Well, first, thank you guys so much for joining today. Again, this is Holden Watney with Generation 9. If you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out. All right, stay safe out there.